The LTA in Singapore is now the largest public agency. We have 6,000 staff, mostly engineers, and we are the agency responsible for all land transport matters, from policy formulation to design and construction of mega infrastructure facilities, and including licensing and enforcement. So within one roof, we wear several hats, and there are times when we step on each other. Singapore is not a big place. It is just 700 odd square meters. But packed in this little city, which is also a state, which is also a nation, it's about 5.5 million people. And we are set to grow further because for any megacity to be sustainable, to support economic development, you need something like 10 million. So we are looking at doubling our population. So transportation becomes a challenge. You know, we don't have countryside, no hinterland. If anything happens, we all fall off the island. When we first started, transportation, especially public transportation, it's something that you never thought about it being personal. It's public, so it's one size fits all. There's nothing special for everybody, whether you are old or young or, you know, those with special needs. But things have changed. Citizens are very vocal now. They expect us to pay attention to different segments of our citizens. So this is how the challenge started. I will go through very quickly with you. The land transport is just 20 years old. It was amalgamated to 4 other agencies. And in the 20 years, we were guided by 3 master plans. The very first one was very heavy on engineering. It was about construction of facilities, trains, roads, mass rapid transport. 10 years later, around 2008, the emphasis shifted to digital services, information on the go, nearest bus stop, where are the nearby location-based services. We've done quite a fair bit in this space, and I am happy to say that a number of our digital services have become benchmark with other city authorities around transport. Currently, we are working towards integrating transport with lifestyle. This is the biggest challenge. Whoever dreamed of doing that? Lifestyle goes beyond just taking the bus or the train. It is about experience. You and I, who are in the public service, know that this is not our strength. So this is a huge, huge challenge. But I'm going to share with you what we have done so far. Hopefully we get there. Under my portfolio, my team and I manage over 70 systems, large and small, many real-time systems, many mission-critical systems. And our strength is in designing large-scale system integration. Much of the work is outsourced, but the integration is important. Around 2008, we started getting a lot of requests from businesses, from research institutes, asking us to release some of our data. So we say, okay, I mean, to us, I never knew those data could be so interesting. And we saw some of the early works by the researchers and the companies that were using our data, and I said, look, we've got something big here. Because we have got the largest sensor network in Singapore. All lampposts, street lights, traffic lights, even sensors on buses, on cars, come under our purview. So I told my team, look, we can't go on looking at each request at a time. Maybe it's time for us to review and see what data that we have that we can open up to the public without any sensitivity. And there are things like, your junctions, your traffic lights, and these are very interesting and essential information that most third-party developers require. So we did up an open data policy, got it approved, ensure that there are sufficient caveats to protect personal data, and we launched a program called the Data Mall, where we put these data and have it open on the platform. That was our first foray into the cloud, because I had many other things to look at. Like all government CIO, I was at first hesitant. I wasn't very sure. Many people were telling me, are you sure you could put your data on the cloud? But I said, this is open data, so there's no harm. Let's try. So that was in 2011. We saw immediately a take-up rate of 4 million API calls a month. The numbers started growing every month, and as I watched, I was becoming a little worried. When it hit 200 mil, I said, look, this is real serious. I need a robust cloud. So we took a decision, and we evaluated. And we have not looked back since. I need not say which cloud it's on, obviously AWS. And mind you, just last month, we crossed the 600 million mark of API calls in 1 month. I have been asked, how do you sleep managing these figures? I say, I sleep very well. AWS just makes sure that they look after me. I would encourage, all government CIOs that this is really a very cost-effective, fast, cheap, and better. Really, because there are so many other things that we have to deal with. And as a result, you can see on the screen the number of third-party applications, the amount of co-creation that we have generated amongst our small and medium-sized developers and companies. And some of the bigger names, like Google, also uses our data platform. Of special interest to me is the engagement of youth in the things that we do. While I consider ourselves the big boys, and big boys have responsibility to look after small boys. And these small boys are going to be our next generation of leaders. So how do we bring them on board early so that they understand the issues that we have to deal with? So every year we organize what we call a hackathon. But last year, the event was a very special event because Singapore celebrated its 50th National Day. Big thing for us, that's how young we are. What we did was that we brought in subject matter experts. It was not a 2-day thing where they just do coding. It was a 2-week thing. We prepared these guys with themes, with challenges, with problem statements. We got our engineers who are subject matter experts to give talks. We brought in technology partners to talk about the latest trend in technology, especially the new gadgets that were available. And having been in the IT industry for very long in Singapore, I know just about every local VC in town. So I gathered the top guys. I said, look, I have an event. Can you please be my panel of judges? And by the way, please bring your checkbook along, which they did. And at the end of the event, they actually there were three winners who had seed funding from these VCs. And if that's not enough, by the way, the gentleman that you see there taking a selfie is the Prime Minister of Singapore himself. So we approached him. I was given the honor, says, why don't you try and get the Prime Minister to come? I say, yeah, very funny. You think I'm inviting the Prime Minister to have dinner with me or what? So, but anyway, we tried and says, look, Mr. Prime Minister, we're having this event and this is with the youth. Wouldn't you like to come and take a look at what they do? And he was very nice about it. He came and we didn't tell the participants. We just said there is going to be a special guest for the event. So they knew nothing. Until it was prize-giving time, and in comes the Prime Minister, and everybody went ecstatic. Today, many of these youth are part of my fan club. Just as you have goals busters, I have train busters, I have bicycle enthusiasts, I have youth who have got special interests, and we bring them in every now and then to ask them for opinions, and when I have new apps to deliver, they become my test bed. Many of these applications are available on a device, a mobile device, and the device is, we have a brand, it's called My Transport. Today, this application or this device that we have has is accessed 23 million times in a month. So it goes to show how Singaporeans are dependent on information on the go. Currently, I am working on collecting more real-time data. It's going to be a tongue twister if I try to read out all the numbers, so I will let you absorb those numbers yourself. I'm sure looking at these numbers is good news to AWS. These are real-time information that we gather by the seconds, and it is critical for us because we use this information to do forward planning, to draw deep insights into some of the policies that we do, because these policies have got a lot of assumptions made way back 6-7 years ago. And as we draw nearer to the dates of implementation, we need to validate this data. The same data is used within LTA for operation, for us to review the effectiveness of our programs, to review the operators who are licensed to operate the buses and the trains. We started with a small team. I gathered a small team of people within my group. We were called the skunk works because we were undercover. If we were to tell anybody that we were doing all this, someone would stop us, so we just quietly do it. And an incident happened in Singapore. There was major train disruption. Questions were being asked from cabinet, what's happening? We jumped at the opportunity and we started showing the analytics. Today, we are officially the data science group for land transport matters. We are on the home stretch now. You would think that, transport is about efficient buses and trains and, making sure that there's enough taxis on the road, but there's not enough, not at least in Singapore. Our citizens expect us to also look into the first mile and the last mile. The minute you step out the house, how long does it take for me to walk to the nearest station? If it's raining, where is the nearest covered linkways? Things like that. Lots of detail. And like I say, these are not things that public servants are used to doing. But this is a challenge that we decide that we will embark on. And we're working on it. Needless to say, new technologies, or technologies itself, is disrupting the land transport space very, very significantly. Just one example is Uber. is getting all city authorities scratching their head. How do we marry this very interesting business model with traditional taxi operators who are regulated by us? How do we grade the line? How do we blend these two together, the old and the new? Last slide. When we started our Smart Mobility program, the Smart Nation program was not there yet. When Singapore decided that, we need to have a Smart Nation initiative to galvanize all the technology initiatives that we are doing in different parts of public sector, Smart Mobility became a key pillar of the Smart Nation program. Rightfully so, because going forward, we are looking at shared infrastructure, shared space, shared ownership. Why do you need to own a car to go to A and B if you can carpool or, just rent a car or have what we call demand mobility or mobility on demand? A lot of work is being put into this space by several cities, and I can see that, the results are coming. As we grapple with all the complexities of city administration, I can only see one thing going forward. The economy ahead is about sharing. And with that, I thank you.